What's going on? Is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Last night was wild. It was absolutely insane, man. And it was insane because I kind of anticipated that there would be a lot of pushback, because the week before I said, listen, I don't think that there's anybody on a liberal side that can actually substantiate these arguments and tell me why they are or they aren't voting for the person that they're voting for. And most of the time when you get people to tell you why they voting for Kamala Harris, it has nothing to do with Kamala Harris. It has everything to do with their insecurities and the fact that they decide that they don't want to vote for Trump. And so when we have that conversation, it's easy for me to debate you. It's easy for me to talk policy. It's easy for me to talk about certain points. How you doing, my friend? I appreciate you. It's easy for me to talk about all of these things. When y'all see me in the street, say what up. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. And then come and kick it with me in Atlanta and in Detroit. We're going to have a good time. But it's easy for me to be able to debate people's talking points because they're not for Kamala, they're against Trump. And Kamala just so happens to be the person right there. The fact that they're portraying her as black, that absolutely helps. The fact that they're portraying her as a woman, especially considering the way that society is going today, that helps substantiate their argument. But they don't even realize, and maybe they do, that they're voting for their own demise, because this is not a woman that is for you. This is a woman that is completely incompetent, in my opinion, and she's for herself. So when we jumped on the panel last night, it was interesting because there was one guy who I quickly identified as a progressive, some form of a left-leaning liberal feminist guy. And he seemed intelligent at first, but the more that you talk, just because some people know how to articulate their words correctly does not mean that they operating within logic and good reason and that they can substantiate their arguments. And so towards the end of the night, one of the things that I asked him was, what is a woman? And you know what he told me? A woman is a person that identifies as a woman. You are whatever it is that you can identify as. So delusion, because at first he was standing on the definition of words, even though we can change the very meaning and the definition of words depending on what the cultural norms are. Then he told me that a woman is whatever it is that you identify as. So then when we start getting into the conversation about men participating in women's sports, oh, no. It's a difference between sex and gender. No, the difference between the two is that one of them you identify based off of somebody's biological, born, how you came out of your mother's womb, and the other one is based off of feelings. That's it. And that's where you get all of this dysphoria and this dysfunction and stuff like that. And so I don't understand a couple different things. I want to share this with you guys. Let me give you my thoughts as I'm about to go into the studio and cook up for the Millionaire Morning Show. The first thing that I don't understand is y'all don't think that it makes sense, or y'all don't really pay attention to, hey, how you doing, love? How you doing?
Thanks, how are you?
I'm doing really, really well. Y'all don't realize that it don't make sense for you to change the definition and the very meaning of things to make you feel good, that it's not about how you feel, it's about the truth. And the truth is very difficult for a lot of people to hold on to, I guess, because we used to just deal with it, and we used to say, hey, listen, no, you thinking wrong. Hey, listen, this is the way that we got to do things. And so we don't want to go back to that. We want to go into, okay, listen, I'm not really trying to correct you. I'm trying to make sure that I pet your devils, pet your demons, make you feel good about the fact that you wrong. That's what we own. And then this is the other thing. This is the bigger issue. Why are so many liberals and Democrats? Because there's some things that I can admit that I don't 100% agree with as far as the Republican Party, but 95% of what they stand on, I stand for. Why don't Democrats, why are y'all so gung-ho about standing on and dying on the hill of reproductive rights and abortion? I don't get that. What's going on, big dog? How you feel? Hey, man, God bless you too. Why is people so gung-ho on standing on that? I don't get it. It's so weird to me. You really want this to be a thing. This is the hill that you're willing to die on. Something that, A, you can control. There's so many different issues that's wrong with this. You can control who you lay down with. You can control whether or not you carry, but you know what I'm saying, before you marry. You can control, even if you decide that you want to have sex out of wedlock, whether or not you can use contraception to prevent yourself from getting in this in the first place. You basically leveraging reproductive rights. They want to term it reproductive rights because they don't really want to call it what it is. You want to leverage that as a form of contraception. You want to leverage abortion as a form of preventing pregnancy. That is insane. That is literally crazy. And I know a lot of people stand on a lot of different things, especially when it comes to, whether or not you agree with a woman can do whatever it is that she wants with her body. But what about what happens to late term abortions? What about people just aborting babies because they just being irresponsible? Then nobody wants to have that part of the conversation. And so instead of us having a conversation in full and holding people accountable, what we say is, nah, we're not going to hold people accountable. We're going to let them do whatever it is that they want to do. And no matter what it is that they do, and no matter who they affect, and regardless of what our moral code is. I was listening to Tim Wall's interview with Fox News. Shout out to Tim Walls for actually pulling up the Fox News. I was listening to Tim Walls pull up the Fox News, and he was basically trying to convince them that it was okay for late term as long as that's a decision that's made between the doctor and the woman. Of all of the things that I've ever been worried about in my life, whether or not I was going to be able to take care of my family, layoffs, inflation, money, success, starting a small business, whether or not I had enough customers, jobs, immigration, inflation, war, all of the different things that I've ever been worried about in my life. Somebody running up in my house, safety, police presence, all of these things. The one thing I've never been concerned about or I ever thought that I was going to have an issue with is having a child out of wedlock, because I could completely control that. I can't control whether or not we're going to send money over to Ukraine except for making sure that I try to vote for the right person. I can't control whether or not the ports is going to be open because that's just not in my purview, but I can advocate for it. I can't control whether or not somebody is going to go out here and they're going to do this or they're going to do that or whatever, or whether or not, the police is going to... I can't control what other people do, but I can control myself. And of all of the things that we can debate, we're debating about whether or not you're going to open up your legs, have a child out of wedlock, or potentially have a child out of wedlock, and then change your mind depending on how you feel at that particular time, and then remove a life. Why even put yourself in that position in the first place? And why is that the conversation that we having when we could be having a conversation about so many other things? I'm so weirded out and I'm so confused by a lot of y'all. And it's so, I almost feel like we just like, some of us is just the last of a dying breed. But I know I'm not out here by myself, because there's a lot of people that actually agree and they think like me, surprisingly. We not the minority. I think that we probably the majority, but a lot of us just didn't realize that other people were saying the same thing that we were saying. Anyways, I'm about to get ready for the Millionaire Morning Show. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. The best time to join the Patreon is right now. Come kick it with me in Atlanta and Detroit. That detail is in the description. And then Tees Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. You're never going to convince me. You're never going to convince me that makes sense and that's the best thing for the American people. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to see y'all on the show. Y'all be safe down there in Florida and in the South from this hurricane, man.